Hi everyone, in this video we'll be exploring the topic of biological approach and more specifically localization of brain function. We'll cover the key areas of the brain involved and explain what localization is and look at a study that shows how our brain adapts through learning. So let's get started. Here is a label diagram of the brain, and we'll first look at how different parts of the brain have different functions. So the part highlighted in yellow is the parietal lobe, and it's important for processing sensory information like touch and spatial awareness. The part highlighted in pink is the occipital lobe, and it's located at the very back of the brain, and it deals with visual processing. The cerebellum is typically referred to as the small brain, and it's important for coordination of movement and balance. Moving on, the frontal lobe is involved in decision-making, problem-solving, and planning. And finally, the temporal lobe is important for hearing and understanding language. Within the temporal lobe, there are two areas. The amygdala plays a key role in emotions, especially fear and pleasure. The other area is called the hippocampus, and it's responsible for recalling memory and learning. So we'll be looking at how to structure out an SAQ that's on localization. So one possible question that could be asked is outline localization of function with reference to one study. So I'll be guiding you through how to structure this out and what to include in paragraph 1, 2, and 3. So let's start with paragraph 1. In paragraph 1, we always have to remember to include the key knowledge we know about this topic. So in this case, we need to include the key information we know about what localization is. So we always have to start with defining what localization is. We can say that localization of brain function refers to a theory that different parts of the brain are responsible for different aspects of human functioning, such as behaviors. And psychologists investigate localization of brain using an MRI, which is a brain imaging technique, and it's explained in our video before, so please go and check it out. So there are two different beliefs of the idea of localization, and we should include and explain the two different theories. The first is called the strict localization theory, and it suggests that specific parts of the brain are solely responsible for specific features, and it is supported by patients with specific brain damage. For example, if a patient has damage in their occipital lobe, they might have problems with visual image processing. The other theory is the equipotential theory, or you can refer it to as the relative localization theory, and it suggests that all areas of the brain are equally active in all overall mental functioning, where specific parts may be responsible for certain functions but not exclusively. Other parts may also assist in the functioning. So these are the three key points we need to explain in paragraph 1. So now moving on to our paragraph 2, we have to explain a study that supports the idea of localization. And in this video, we'll be looking at Dragansky's study. So when talking about a study in paragraph 2, we always have to include the aim, the method, the procedure, and the findings of the study. So the aim of Dragansky's study is to investigate whether structural changes in the brain would occur in response to practicing a simple juggling routine. And it uses an MRI to achieve that by detecting the activities in the different parts of the brain. So it was a mixed design with a self-selected sample of volunteers that has no prior experience of juggling, and they were randomly divided into two groups, the jugglers and the non-jugglers. So the jugglers spent 3 months learning a simple juggling routine, and the control group, which were the non-jugglers, never practiced juggling. So 3 MRIs were performed before, after, and 3 months after the juggling routine. And Dragansky found that there were no difference in the structure of the brain before the experiment, meaning that the gray matter volume of the two groups were the same. However, after 3 months of practice, the jugglers had significantly more gray matter in the mid-temporal area of the cortex, meaning that new neural networks formed responsible for muscle coordination. After 6 months, the gray matter difference decreased due to synaptic pruning, but the jugglers still had more gray matter in these areas. This means that the changes were mainly due to learning, which caused the gray matter volume to increase. Specifically, in the hippocampus, because as we said, the hippocampus is responsible for memory and learning. So in paragraph 3, we have to include the conclusion of the study and how this study supports our idea of localization. So we first state the conclusion of the study. Dragansky concluded that there is a cause and effect relationship between learning and brain structure and showed localization because learning a juggling routine, which is a motor skill, only increased gray matter in one region of the brain, the mid-temporal lobe region within the hippocampus, which is known to be responsible for coordination of movement and learning. And this relates to the juggling skills the participants learned. The independent variable of the study was learning a new skill. An increase in the gray matter suggests that hippocampus is responsible for that skill and the learning process. Therefore, Dragansky supports the idea of localization and suggests that functions in the brain are localized to certain areas. So to summarize, we have to remember when structuring out an SEQ in paragraph 1, define localization and the two theories. And then briefly talk about the study AMPFC, AMPF of the study. And then the third paragraph is the C, conclusion. And then the link to how the study supports localization. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video helped. We'll see you in the next video.